What's going on, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be doing a VOD review of Laizen and Sloww, who won the FNCS console in EU with 57 points and 2 victory royales. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you aren't already, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out so much. So let's get into it. This duo dropped Dirty Docks and were uncontested for the first 4 games. Sloww loots the west houses, then goes to fish in the bay to the west, and Laizen loots the north and east sides. Once they've finished looting and have almost maxed materials, they push into the grotto via the skull chest. They go in there looking for storm surge tags, to upgrade their ARs from the vault loot, and to get a minigun for Sloww. They were extremely careful while pushing through the grotto, ensuring they were carefully watching angles and even RPGing the vault to ensure other players weren't camping in there. The majority of the games they didn't manage to get into the vault because the teams that landed there were well prepared for this by blocking off the vault extensively. So usually Sloww and Laizen quickly disengaged to focus on the rotate after grabbing what they could. When it comes to rotating, they usually rotated to third early and sat nearer the edge. This was consistent with what we saw in the winners of the PC FNCS 2. When it comes to rotating to fourth zone, they again rotated early and stayed near the edge. In the 5 games they got to 5th zone, all 5 of them were nearly max distance. Because of this, they heavily relied on launch pads to take them into zone and didn't once rotate by foot. Since they had 2 launch pads from dirty and supply crates, they padded into 5th zone in 4 out of 5 games, and the other game they reused the pad. Every time they padded, they also did it at the last moment as the zone was starting to shrink. Rotating through first moving zones is commonly where most teams will prioritise using the launch pad, and this team was no different. They used their second launch pad here in 3 of 4 of the games they made it to this far. They padded at the last second as soon as zone was starting to shrink. Again, this is similar to what we saw on the PC FNCS winners. Something they did every time they launch padded was they created a separate box for the launch to be placed in rather than using their own box. This was done without a cone on top to create clear sightlines above them to ensure it was safe to pad. After padding on the 6th zone, this team likes to land on a high layer as their endgame is very orientated around high ground. Laizen leads the tunnels, attempting to get as far ahead of zone as possible. He does a great job of constantly looking up to check on height. Because of this great awareness, he's able to take height in game 2 with ease when he notices the team above him just uses a launch pad. From then on, it's both players spraying down into the rest of the lobby using their ARs and minigun, eventually picking up the victory royale. While we're on height retakes, let's take a look at game 4, where they win with 7 eliminations. They'd positioned themselves in a near to high ground position in 5th zone. And notice how much information Laizen is getting by sitting in his cone. He's aware of all other players near his height, and he's planning on how to take it depending on where the zone pulls. They start to tunnel towards the new zone once it's revealed. Look how careful he is. He's letting the metal fully build prior to moving into it to ensure he takes less damage. Laizen is continually looking up, and because of this, he seizes the opportunity to take height as soon as he spots the opponents getting RPG'd. Then they manage to maintain height for the rest of the game and end up picking the second win of the tournament. When they didn't get height, they were always trying to get as far ahead of zone as possible. This team pretty much exclusively used the poverty ramp tarp and diagonal tarp, except when they weren't moving, which conserved them a large amount of materials. They did a really great job of layering, always going up one layer if there was too many players on their one. This was a strategy that allowed them to consistently avoid taking damage in the endgame and take height. Their playstyle in general is very placement orientated. Out of the 57 points that they earned, only 22 of these were from eliminations. Out of these 22 eliminations, only 3 of these were before the 5th zone, and these 3 were all players who were getting tagged by Storm Surge, so were desperate. This means that their primary focus is to get into a good position in the 5th circle before they focus on getting any eliminations. So in conclusion, they drop Dirty Docks, loot and fish there, then rotate over to Grotto to grab AKs, scars and miniguns. They rotated to 3rd and 4th zones early and positioned themselves on the edge. They padded late to 5th and 6th zones or focused on reusing an enemy's pad and did so when the zone started to close, attempting to land on a high ground layer. They had great awareness of their layer and the layer above, allowing them to easily take height or adjust their layer if it was too congested. And they were heavily reliant on placement points, only picking up 3 eliminations before the 5th zone. Again, backing up the idea that in these stacked lobbies, W keying is not going to work. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you watched this far, please consider subscribing and liking and use code Reisshub in the item shop. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a really good day.